Hey guys, Mike Toy, Bonsai Boise. So today I got a few trees I was going to show you, one of which I've never done a video on before, and another I have. The first one I was going to work on a little bit was this Ficus Benjamina, which was actually kind of an experiment of mine. So today's theme is going to be experiments and updates on other experiments. So this one, I'm just trying to fuse a few of them together. I had a few cuttings last year that weren't anything special, and I thought, hey, I'm just gonna braid them together and wrap them up in electrical tape and see how long it takes to fuse. That was almost exactly a year ago. It was about 11 and a half months. So I've got a video on the process I went through to kind of tie these things together, so I'll show you some of that here in a minute. And then today I'm going to do the reveal. I'm going to take the tape off and we'll see. Maybe it fused together, maybe it didn't. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. I have not touched it in this entire time. For an entire year, I haven't trimmed it. I haven't done anything. I haven't repotted it. So that's really hard for me. I like to mess with these things. So as you can see, it needs a haircut. It is all kinds of wild and overgrown. So I am going to be doing a trim and a repot on this too. I won't walk you through every step of the process on that, but I'll kind of walk through it a little bit and show you how it turns out. And then doing an experiment here with the Siberian elm. I've done a video on this before. In fact, I think the name of the video was How to Trim a Bonsai Tree, or something like that. This is the one that I used. That was about a year and a half ago. So a little bit of a story on this and why it's in the shape it's in right now. So I'll share what happened and where I went wrong recently. And luckily it bounced back from that. So anyways, follow me and I'll show you some of that other video on how we got this to where it's at, and then we'll do the reveal. All right, I'm back. So I'm gonna set this one aside for a sec. I'll give you a quick 1-minute deal on this. So the experiment that I'm going to do with the Siberian elm is I'm going to bring it inside for the winter. I'm going to put it under grow lights along with the other tropical trees, and we'll just see how it does. I know that English elms, you can do that, and you know, there's different theories out there. Some people swear that you can do it, it doesn't hurt the health of the tree at all. I've also heard the opposite. I've heard you can do it and get away with it, maybe even for a few years. However, it does start to take a hit on the health of the tree, and it eventually will suffer and probably die. I don't know. It's not a Chinese elm. I have Siberian elms. So I'm going to test it out with this Siberian elm. And we're going to find out whether these things can live inside, and if so, how do they do? How's their health go? Does it die? Does it live? Quick story on this. I repotted this back in late August of this year, 2020. And when I repotted it, it had some gnarly roots, and there was one root in particular that was kind of like this sort of a knot and curled around, and I looked at it best I could and I decided to get rid of it. I thought I had enough roots left, but I made a mistake, and it was most, if not all, roots were attached to that one big gnarly root. And I knew it. As soon as I cut it and I pulled it off, I saw what I had done and I went, oh boy, this thing might die. And it almost did. So I repotted it, did the best I could. Almost all of the leaves fell off, except one. There was one leaf, I kid you not, just right at the tip of a branch that lived. And I said, hold on, little leaf, because I really wanted it to live. So it held on and it bounced back. But here we are now in the second week of November. And this is part of what made me want to bring it in and use it as an experiment. It should have dropped its leaves by now, but because of the odd thing that I did to it and its odd time of bouncing back, now it has these bright green leaves going into wintertime. Today it was a high of like 35, snowy past couple days, so it's a little confused as it is because of me, my fault. So that's why we're going to experiment with this one. So I'll keep you updated and let you know how it goes. Now, back to the main subject of today, the Ficus Benjamina fusion project. Like I said, I put this together about a year ago. Actually I started it about a year and a half ago, but about 1 year ago is when I really did my best to intertwine them and put them all together, and that's when I wrapped it with this electrical tape. I've heard that electrical tape is the way to go when you're trying to fuse trees together because it holds the trees together well. It doesn't cut into the branches the way like a wire would do, and it's stretchy. So as the tree grows, it doesn't restrict that growth. It stretches along with the branches, at least to a certain point. So that's why I went with electrical tape, and as far as I can tell, it is the way to go. So first I'm going to give you just a quick look at my process of putting this together, some video that I took last year when I did it. And then after we take a look at that, we'll take the tape off and see what's happened since then. So here you go. Go ahead and take a look at me putting this together. So let's go ahead now and take the tape off and see how far it's come along. I can already see the bottom hasn't fused together. So the very bottom of the trunks have not fused together. So what I'll probably end up doing is taking the tape off, see how it looks, wrapping it back up in this, not in the same tape, but in the same kind of tape, giving it a trim, and I'm gonna take it out of this pot, do whatever kind of root prune it needs. I don't know what it needs yet, but I have a feeling it's pretty compact just by the time it takes for the water to soak into the soil when I water it. So I'll probably have to prune some roots, and then we'll put it in some new soil, put it right back in the same pot, and then we'll check it again in another year or so. So follow me. Let's do a close-up here and see how it looks under that tape. All right, so let's go ahead and take off this tape here. And like it's one of those movies where it's like the Joker, you know, when they're getting ready to take off his mask and then he sees himself. It's gonna be a freak. Well, I can see already that it's sort of starting to fuse, but also I'm seeing that this tape, okay, so here's a downside to the tape. It's ripping some of the bark off of there. So I think what I'm gonna do when I redo this now is do it backwards maybe. I don't know how to do that, because if I do it backwards, I don't have sticky stuff on the outside, but then again, I won't be ripping bark off if I do it that way. So I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll do it backwards, just on the layer that's touching the tree, and then I'll reverse it and wrap it up with the sticky side out. Hoping my arm or my giant head isn't blocking the view here. I'm a bit clumsy half the time. So no fusion yet here. We do see a little bit of fusion right there. Hopefully you can see that. Fusion there, starting to there. So I might be doing this somewhat prematurely, but that's okay. I'm just gonna tape it back up anyway, so see if I can find the end to this. Here it is. This was the part I was most curious about. Go. I'm a little concerned it's ripping that bark off of there though. Yeah, I don't like that at all. It's not ripping it all off, it's just kind of ripping off the brown part and exposing some of that green. So, learning experience here for me and for you if you've never done this before with electrical tape. Don't do it with the sticky side facing the tree. It actually seems really obvious to me now. I'm sure half the people are watching are going, well, yeah, duh. At the time I didn't think of it. I was just wrapping it up. But on a bright note, it does look like it has begun fusing together pretty nicely. Oh, look at that. See, hopefully these leaves don't get in the way too much. So that's cool. So it is starting to fuse. You see it's a work in progress, especially down at the bottom. An idea that I've had recently too is just as I take cuttings, just taking the cuttings and sticking it right back in, right next to the trunk line, just so if they do root, they'll eventually root and then fuse in with the trunk. And I've thought about doing that on multiple trees, not just this one, but other Ficus Benjaminas as well. So yeah, so that's a look at this. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to re-wrap it back up. So hang on one second here, let me grab my tape. Okay, so I got some new tape, and now with the knowledge that we have, we know not to put the sticky side on the bark. We're gonna put the sticky side around the outside, and then I'm just gonna flip the tape like this and wrap it back up so that the sticky side isn't exposed. So sticky side is right there. I think I will start, let me think here. Nope. I am going to start at the top. Work my way down. I'll come back up and do this branch again. Bear with me if this looks pretty clumsy. Number one, I am pretty clumsy. And number two, I'm trying to do this off the side so that you guys can get a clear shot. So it just enhances my otherwise clumsiness here. There we go. I'm just going to put kind of a, I'm not going to make it super tight on this first layer around because I'm going to come back anyways and do another layer of tape with the sticky side down. So I'm not going to kill myself doing it the hard way here. Now I said that, it wants to cooperate. So that's still sticky side out. Yeah, it just seems so obvious now that that happened. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't want to put the sticky side down. But at the time, I just didn't think of it. Let me get rid of some of these rocks here so I can get down a little lower. And I don't know if I'm going to try my idea of sticking little cuttings in there or not. I may not actually on this one, the more I think of it, because we got something going already. I don't want to mix up all my experiments. I'll try that experiment on a separate tree to see how it works. Okay, now I'm going to flip it like so. Go back. First I was thinking I would want this tape to be layered kind of like shingles are layered, where the water will run on the outside of the tape. However, I actually don't think I want that. I think I want to let water run down there and make contact with the branches and the trunks. I think that will help in the fusion process. I think. Do this without breaking everything. Okay, so got that part done. Put a little bit on this other branch. Okay, there we go. Got it all taped up. This one is kind of a cluster and it's not super elegant looking, but whatever. So that's it for that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a real quick trim. It's not going to be anything pretty or precise. It's going to be kind of a hedge prune, and I might just clear out a little bit on the inside just so it can get some light in there. And then I'm going to take it out of this soil, put it in new soil, put it right back in the same pot. Won't be very exciting at all. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll be right back and I'll show you the final product afterward, and we'll wrap it up. All right, so that's it. It's done. Kind of been looking forward to that for a while because it was getting pretty root bound in the pot and the soil was in, and so I wanted to get it changed out, and I was really curious how the fusion was coming along. So, you know, I kind of thought maybe it would have been more fused by now, but you know, it's the first one of these I've really tried with the Ficus Benjamina, so you live and you learn. And maybe there's a better way to do it than what I'm doing. I don't know. I just sort of did it on a whim one day, and then I went with it, and here we are now. So that's a little deal about my Ficus Benjamina fusion experiment, and then also my Siberian elm keeping it indoors all winter experiment. So hope you enjoyed watching. If so, please click like and subscribe, and you can see updates on this and all the others that I have. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave them in there. I love reading through the comments and, you know, hearing new suggestions and ideas and methods. So I appreciate everybody who does that. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your night.